They bade us take 7 steps across the Jhelum. We did not utter a single word. They made us ascend the Peer Panjal blindfolded. We did not utter a single word. They thrust nails of faith into our bosoms. We crossed bloody torrents near our very doors. Christ-like, we were hanged on the gibbet. We did not utter a single word. As seers, we believed in transmigration. That is why tongues of flame ate up so many. While the rest were bundled out, we did not utter a single word. These people of Kashmir are a tightly knit community that has gone through tremendous pain and suffering after being forced out of their homeland. They are migrants, but in reality, they are displaced people. Even as recently as the early 90s, they are still considered as refugees in their own land. They have become political scapegoats of a nation whose political constraints prevent them from living as honorable citizens of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The sunset still continues after 24 long years.
Nobody wants us back. Absolutely nobody has cared to want us back. They just give a little sob here, a little sob there. That also when our people are on the roads. And we are not at all on the budget of J&K. The J&K state has already taken us out of its budget. They had depressions, they had sleep problems, they had nightmares, and they just had so much of anxiety, they didn't know what to do. Even the will to live was lost. Now on the reproductive scale, there has been a very big research that we have done, because what we found was our population was decreasing, and we did a population survey in the camps as well as general survey in the non-camp population of exiled Kashmiri Pandits. And in fact, Times of India also did its own survey. We found in the first 5 years, against a birth rate of 4%, there was a death rate of 18%. And this trend has continued, and it is still continuing now. The population is slowly shrinking.
It is a scandal. It's a shame. It's a challenge to our sovereignty that in our own country of 80% Hindus, we have 500,000 Hindus living in refugee camps largely, and as refugees. I mean, that is the key thing. How can Hindus be, after being 80% of India, be refugees in their own country? That's the shame. And that shame belongs basically to the Nehru family.
The Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front was the chief organization whose armed atrocities against the minorities in the valley forced these Kashmiri Hindus to flee their homes. A bid to create a state of chaos and emergency without any possibility of a diplomatic resolution to the Kashmir problem was the reason responsible for insurgency operations in the valley. Such a scenario of continuous instability in the region led to tremendous depletion of the Hindu population in Kashmir. This politically charged atmosphere created by fundamentalists and extremists abetted by the Pakistani military gave rise to the concept of Azad Kashmir. With the Hindus out and the extremists becoming a major part of the fabric of Kashmiri politics, the Kashmiri Hindus dispersed all over India and were totally marginalized.
ऐसी आज़ादी होगी, क्या वो दुल्हन होगी, क्या वो माँ होगी, क्या होगा, वो बाप होगा, किस शक्ल में होगी, उसको कोई पता नहीं। लेकिन चूंकि उसके साथ जुल्म हो रहा है, उसको सिपाही, थानेदार, पुलिस वाला, तहसीलदार, पटवारी, डीसी, ये सब उस पर जुल्म कर रहे हैं। इसलिए वो ये समझते हैं इन सब जुल्मों से ना मुझे निजात मिलेगी आज़ादी का नारा लगा के। मुझे बताएं, टेररिज्म भी, ये बंदूक भी किसने उठवाई? ये फारूक अब्दुल्ला है, ये कांग्रेस है जिन्होंने ये बंदूक उठवाई। क्योंकि 88 में यहाँ पे इलेक्शन लड़े ये यूसुफ जो ना, ये हज़बी मुजाहिदीन का सलाहुद्दीन, इसने इलेक्शन लड़ा है, इसने जीता इलेक्शन अमीरा कदल से। इसको ये कोठी बाग थाने में मारा पीटा, दाढ़ी पोटी गई। यासीन उसका पोलिंग एजेंट था। इन्होंने कहा तेरी ऐसी की तैसी, यहाँ तो अपना वोट से भी कुछ गुजारा नहीं बनता, इलेक्शनों से गुजारा नहीं बनता, गन उठा ली। ये मतलब जरा ये तो कांग्रेस, नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, इनका किया जा रहा है सारा।
जो आपके मास्टर्स हैं अक्रॉस द बॉर्डर पाकिस्तान में, उनकी बात आप दो टूक रखेंगे, लेकिन कश्मीरियों की बात कभी नहीं बोलेंगे। आप गन कल्चर की बात करते हैं, गन कल्चर विच सेट द बेस ऑफ आवर एक्सोडस, उसकी बात करते हैं आप। क्या आज तक लाल चौक बंद किया है आपने यासीन मलिक के खिलाफ?
From September 1989 till December 1990, tentatively around 3,000 people were killed. The administration and the National Human Rights Commission never came out with the exact figures. No committee was set up to look into what exactly happened. It led to a wave of deep resentment and anger within the community. They felt that they have been absolutely sidelined and their pain was not being felt by the nation.
It is really a shame that National Human Rights Commission should say that it was akin to genocide, but it was not a genocide. Let me give you a definition of genocide as per United Nations Charter. If 100 people out of a community which is ethnic, of a different ethnic group, religious, cultural, in a sea of other community, if 100 people are killed, it is a genocide. So where was the question of its not being genocide when government of India itself has said that 790 people have been killed, whereas actual figure is more than about 3,000 Kashmiri Pandits have been killed. So National Human Rights Commission report is absolutely unsatisfactory. In fact, it goes against their grain, because they should debate within themselves what does it mean akin to genocide.
पीछे आपने सुना होगा, ये सबों ने, पूरे वर्ल्ड ने सुना होगा, मनमोहन सिंह ने ऐलान किया था एक पैकेज कर देंगे जो एम्प्लॉय के लिए। तो उसमें बोला था सेंटर 3,000 करेगा और स्टेट 3,000। सेंटर ने अभी तक कुछ नहीं किया है। स्टेट ने दिया था 3,000, लेकिन उसमें 1,200 इन्होंने एम्प्लॉयमेंट दिया है। वो भी कभी कुछ पथराव आता है तो अटैक उन बच्चों पर आता है। हमारे पिछले आया, हमारा 1-2 जगह अटैक हो गया, पथराव हो गया उन बच्चों के साथ, उनको हिरासमेंट किया जाता है। जो ऊपर वाली जितने भी कमरे हैं सारे, सबों की जो पानी आता है लीकेज आती है, सबों को बर्तन रखना पड़ता है बारिश में। सारे परेशान, सुनने वाला कोई नहीं है, ना ही स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ना ही सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट। किसी के पास जाए कोई सुनवाई नहीं है। तो लाइट 16 घंटे कट है। ये डस्टबिन है, ये डस्टबिन के अंदर छोड़ दिया है।
जो हमें चाहिए जॉब, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की बहुत ऐसे डिपार्टमेंट है, उनमें हम क्यों नहीं ऑब्जर्व किया जा सकता।
जो हमारा जो कल्चर है, जो हमारी सभ्यता है, संस्कृति है, वो हम अपने बच्चों को सिखाते हैं। अब ये है कि अगर कोई और वासी होता हमारी जगह, वो कभी नहीं संजो कर रख सकता। वो बोलता चलो कोई बात नहीं, बोलते गंगा गए तो गंगाराम, जमुना गए तो जमुनाराम।
Remember, this is 350,000 people. You have a little skirmish in Bosnia, the whole world rises up. You have something going on in Egypt, a missile is fired by somebody from Lebanon or Israel or somewhere, the whole community wakes up, BBC becomes active, everybody becomes active, our own national media become active over international affairs. But unfortunately, I don't know the reason, our story does not at all get through. Nobody bothers. World Health Organization never sent a representative here to look what's happening to these people. And when we did publish data, when we did present them in national and international conferences, the tragedy, the trauma of Kashmiri Pandit exiled population, that is a bit tragic and that is really depressing.
हम ही विक्टिम हैं, हम ही एनजीओज हैं, हमने ही सब कुछ उठाना है, किसी के ऊपर निर्भर नहीं रहेंगे। उस सेल्फ को ही हम खुद जीवित रखना चाहते हैं, अपने बच्चों के लिए, अपने लिए और अपने देश के लिए।
ये एक साजिश बन रही है कश्मीरी पंडितों के लिए, विस्थापितों के लिए एक साजिश बन रही है, जो कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट जानबूझकर हमारे ऊपर तवज्जो नहीं दे रही है। एक हिंदुत्व को खत्म करना ये कैसे करेंगे? ये शर्मनाक कितनी बात है, अपने ही स्टेट में हम शरणार्थी बन के बैठे हैं, तो ये इसमें ये प्रश्न चिन्ह बन जाता है।
उस टाइम पे हमारे मोंटेक सिंह आलूवालिया प्लानिंग कमिश्नर वाले कहते हैं जी तो कुछ भी नहीं है, अब इन्होंने तो बड़ा कुछ ले लिया। हमारे होम मिनिस्टर साहब शिंदे साहब ने ये कहा, उसके लिए हमने बड़ा प्रोटेस्ट किया। आप कंपेयर करो अफगानिस्तान के साथ, आप कंपेयर करो पाकिस्तानी जो भी यहाँ पे रिफ्यूजीज जो भी ये इलीगली यहाँ रह रहे हैं, बांग्लादेशी रह रहे हैं, नेपाली रह रहे हैं, लेकिन कश्मीरी पंडित जो भारत माता की जय करने वाला है, करने वाला था और आज भी करेगा और मरने के दम तक करेगा, उसके लिए इनके पास कुछ भी नहीं है।
The 1971 war brought glory to India, but apart from glory, it brought a number of immigrants across the border from our eastern neighbors. These were dubbed as the Chakma refugees. Since then, there has been a constant inflow of Bangladeshi and Rohingya immigrants in the country. The Kashmiri Pandits, on the other hand, like their other refugee counterparts, could not contribute much to the vested political interest.
A lot of Bangladeshi migrants have come into the country. That has changed the demographic setup in some of the states, northeastern states. A lot of these refugees have come to big towns, Mumbai, Delhi, metropolitans. In a way, they have resulted in cheap labor here, but they are also a security threat because these people are not accounted for anywhere in our system. And Pakistan has very effectively used the Bangla route to send its operatives. Some of the Bangladeshi Maulanas have been found to be very rabid in their approach, which has certainly raised a lot of security concerns in the country.
Politics of this country has always been a problem. So to accommodate those political aspirations, certain sections of immigrants have always been welcome, especially by the Congress government. You know, it's their policy in Assam, in other areas as well, and especially now recently, the way Rohingya Muslims have been allowed. There's a campaign even in Jammu of Rohingya Muslims where they have been allowed to stay. So that is unfortunate, yes.
Home Ministry is a silent spectator to the entire demography which is getting changed. For example, many Bangladeshi Muslims have come and started living in Jammu. Interestingly, Kishtwar region, which is supposed to be the area where some 100-odd Hindu families were living, and where we saw last occasion when rioting happened in that region a couple of months ago, is the region from where again Hindus are getting out, and that is the region where Rohingyas have been made to settle in that place, and the Home Ministry is doing nothing about it. So all this seems like a conspiracy that while Indians should be denied their valued rights, and foreigners are getting more than.
The country from where they come, like Bangladesh or anywhere, they must give us back their land, which was created in which land was given to them in 1947 on the grounds that they cannot bear to live with India. So Muslims who didn't want to live with Hindus, they were given separate land. Now those Muslims have come back to live with Hindus, then in that proportion we must get the land back. Bangladesh, 1/3 of Bangladesh has come to India. So 1/3 of Bangladesh territory should form part of India. And that means, you know, on a Bangladesh map, if you draw a line from Khulna to Sylhet, all the land above that should become part of India. They can't expect us to catch them and send them back, because then they come back again. Either they should take back their people or give us land and compensation.
Azadi in Kashmir is not for majority either. There have been illegal detentions of these people. A mockery of the Public Safety Act by the government has not helped to create stability in the valley, but rather has been a failed attempt to break the backbone of the militancy in Kashmir. As a result of illegal detentions, militancy has been on the rise and has fueled the idea of Azad Kashmir. No endeavors have been made to rehabilitate the surrendered militants.
इलीगल कन्फाइनमेंट, क्या कोई हिंदुस्तान का प्रेस उसने कभी ये बात की है? अदालतों की ये जो कमज़ोर कौमें होती हैं उनका आखिरी सहारा होता है अदालतें। भाई अदालत में जाओ, आपको इंसाफ मिलेगा। लेकिन हमें अदालत से भी इंसाफ नहीं मिल रहा। हाँ, भारत का जो मीडिया है वो नेशनलिज्म उन पर सवार हो चुका है। माई नेशन राइट और रॉन्ग, माई कंट्री राइट और रॉन्ग, माई लीडर राइट और रॉन्ग, ये तीनों व्यू पॉइंट जो हैं हम इनको अक्सर मुस्तरद करते हैं। ये नहीं होना चाहिए। मेरी कौम चाहे गलत करे या सही करे, लेकिन चूंकि मेरी कौम है इसलिए मैं उसको सपोर्ट करूँगा। ये सारी दुनिया के लिए हम कहते हैं कि नेशनलिज्म जो है उसमें सबसे पहले जो कैजुअलिटी बनती है वो आम इंसान बनता है, और कैजुअलिटी जो बनती है वो जस्टिस बन जाता है, इंसाफ। कैजुअलिटी जो बन जाती है वो ह्यूमन और मॉरल वैल्यूज़ बन जाते हैं। इसलिए एज फार एज वी आर मुस्लिम्स, और इस्लाम हमको गाइड करता है कि नेशनलिज्म नॉट ए सिस्टम which can benefit to the humanity.
Gilani is not brainwashing. He is taking advantage of the confusion. There is no mass consensus. If you go to Kashmir today, a very small percentage of Kashmiris actually are separatists, like the Gilanis. Okay, but they also realize that that's not going to happen in their lifetime. So then why do they sustain the movement? They sustain the movement so that they can benefit from it on a personal level. So they're making money left, right and center. They're taking money from Pakistan, they're taking money from RAW, they're taking money from the Indian government, they're taking money from everybody, and the poor bugger who's getting screwed is the average Kashmiri on the road, because they keep him in the dark as to the big picture. They tell him only parts of the big picture. And whatever they tell him is valid because it's the truth. But it's not the whole truth. It's only part of the truth, which is convenient to them. Everybody seems to be seeing. And if there was a real Interpol search put on Mr. Gilani and his Swiss bank accounts and his money which is stashed all over the world, then you'd really see the picture that he's one of the richest men in Kashmir. Because he's taking from both sides. The other rich guys who are in Kashmir are the politicians and the various other so-called traders in blood. They only take money from one side. But he takes money from both sides. So he's obviously going to be richer than everybody else. So whatever he might say, I always take a picture. To me is not credible, because a long time ago he changed his agenda from pro-Kashmiri to pro-Gilani.
Do they understand Islam? Islam is one of the great religions of the world. The Prophet of Islam is one of the greatest prophets, provided you understand what he taught. You misunderstand his teaching. The Islam that is today being talked about is not the Islam of the Prophet at all. It is the Prophet, it is the, I call it Osama bin Ladenism, which has been generated in the 18th century, in the end of the 18th century, by a man called Wahhab, and it is Wahhabi Islam, it is not the Prophet Islam. Kaun samjhaye mujhe ko? Because he told his followers that you walk in the path of knowledge, you are walking in the path of God. The ink of the scholar is more valuable than the blood of a martyr. The Muslims don't realize what they are being taught, what is happening to Islam. The left thing, all politics.
The left intelligentsia that raises a hue and cry, and rightly so, on any issue of ethnic cleansing or communal rights. You know, Gujarat happened in 2002, and there's not a single day when they don't raise the issue of Gujarat. But hey, what happened to the issue of Kashmiri Pandits? The other problem is that talking about certain things has become very fashionable in this country. So if you're talking about the Adivasis of Bastar, which as a journalist I've covered the issue of Maoist insurgency widely. So as long as you're talking about these issues, you're fine. You're a wonderful journalist. But the moment you begin talking about Kashmiri Pandits, it's a problem.
What really kept Pandits and Muslims intact was Sufism and music. But today that has eroded. In the land where Sufis were Rishis and Rishis were Sufis, the female band Pragash was banned from performing. And even the legendary Zubin Mehta got to perform with great difficulty. Indian films that are shot here are not allowed to hoist the Indian flag.
जो लड़ाई है ये जो पहले कश्मीर हुआ करता था 1947 से पहले, ये उसके लिए लड़ाई है. और आज जो इंडियन स्टेट क्लेम करता है कि कश्मीर इज एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया, दे नेवर से दिस, दे नेवर एक्सेप्ट दैट कश्मीर इज आर एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया, वेदर दे आर हिंदूज, क्रिश्चियंस, सिख्स और एक कश्मीरी मुस्लिम. जो ये लड़ाई फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल है, कोई सेपरेटिज्म की नहीं है. तो जो 1947 और 1966 में ये एग्रीमेंट हुआ, तो उसमें भी ये क्लियरली लिखा गया है कि ये इलाहा है टेम्पोररी एसेशन, तो फुल टाइम एसेशन नहीं है. और आप अभी भी देख लीजिए, हिंदुस्तान अभी भी कश्मीर के युवाओं को, कश्मीर के लोगों को सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया नहीं मानते हैं.
Article 370, a constitutional article which was earlier sacrosanct but has created a psychological barrier between Kashmiri brothers and the rest of India. A normal Indian taxpayer always feels that a mini Pakistan has been created on expense of his money.
ऐसी जड़ी बूटी कुछ लोगों ने खोज ली है कि उसके सहारे वो बच जाते हैं, बचने का रास्ता खोज लेते हैं, और वो है सेक्युलरिज्म. सेक्युलरिज्म का बस बोलना शुरू कर दो, सारे पाप आपके माफ हो जाते हैं. जम्मू कश्मीर में इसके साथ साथ एक और चीज का उपयोग होता है, वो होता है धारा 370 का. लेकिन अब समय की मांग है, जम्मू कश्मीर के नागरिकों के अधिकार के संदर्भ में कम से कम जम्मू कश्मीर में और पूरे हिंदुस्तान में क्या धारा 370 से यहां के सामान्य मानवी का भला हुआ है या नहीं हुआ है, इसकी चर्चा तो कम से कम करो.
370 जो है वो इस मुल्क के आईन का एक दफा है, जिससे कि जम्मू कश्मीर और बाकी मुल्क का रिश्ता जुड़ा हुआ है. और अगर वो दफा 370 पे हमारे साथ बातचीत चाहते हैं, वो बताएं मुझे किस दिन, किस जगह, किस वक्त वो 370 पे हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए तैयार होंगे. वो चाहे हमें अहमदाबाद भी बुलाएं, हम वहां पे उनके साथ 370 पे बातचीत करने के लिए हमेशा तैयार रहेंगे.
You can't remove it unilaterally. I mean, you can burn a part of the constitution and that's how it will come. The constitutional article says that no constitutional amendment, even by a 2/3 majority which is required for a constitutional amendment, will apply to the state of Jammu and Kashmir unless it is sanctioned by the Constituent Assembly of Kashmir, which doesn't exist. So it's a constitutional impossibility. Under the constitution as it stands, you'd have to scratch it and by some unconstitutional method bring about the change in which the population must then acquiesce. The game is not worth the candle.
Yes, it's very easy to repeal. All that you have to do is send a cabinet note to the president, and the president can issue a notification scrapping 370, because the militants have abrogated Article 370 by driving out the Kashmiri Pandits. The 370 was both sides. You can't send people into that, but you can't send people out of it also. So they have sent out of it. They have sent the Kashmiri Pandits out of Kashmir, and therefore that is a dead letter and we should abolish it.
Political aspects of Jammu and Kashmir have not been addressed the way they should have been addressed. Our suggestion, therefore, was that we need to expand the idea of a special economic zone. And in that, just as it happens in other states, the state of Jammu and Kashmir will be absolutely free to devise its own tax regime, its own tariff rules, its own rules concerning what benefits investors would be given, etc. And this is crucial because all we know about Jammu and Kashmir are its fruit exports, its dry fruit exports, its handicrafts, its carpets, its wooden furniture. There are several areas of the state which have extremely rich mineral deposits. There is enormous scope to develop agro-industries. There is enough scope to generate more power.
The Indian business people are not investing in Kashmir and J&K state. It's primarily because of this 370 article. In process, what is happening? The job opportunities that could have been created by industrializing the whole state, be it horticulture, be it agriculture, be it other facets of industry, we are today losing all the opportunities of job creation in J&K state.
Mr. P. Chidambaram, उन्होंने खुद कहा है कश्मीर प्रॉब्लम इज ए ब्रोकन प्रोमिसेस. ये आर्टिकल 370 जो है ये टेम्परेरी आर्टिकल है, ये परमानेंट नहीं है. टेम्परेरी इसलिए है कि जम्मू कश्मीर डिस्प्यूटेड टेरिटरी है, मुतनाज़ा खित्ता है, और जम्मू कश्मीर के बारे में कांग्रेस ने खुद अपने स्टैंड को मुस्तरद किया और उसको पामाल किया, उसको नज़रअंदाज किया, और आंजहानी हरी सिंह के कहने पर उन्होंने यहाँ फ़ौजें भेजी हैं. तो ये 370 जो है 370 दफ़ा जो है, ये बजाय खुद ये कह रही है कि जम्मू कश्मीर आर्जी आर्टिकल बनाया गया था और इसकी कोई मुस्तकिल नौयत नहीं है. इसका तकाजा ये था कि जम्मू कश्मीर के अवाम को हक़ खुद इरादियत के इस्तेमाल का मौका दिया जाए ताकि वो अपने फ्यूचर का हतमी तौर फैसला कर सकें. हमारा तो ये स्टैंड है जो बेस्ड ऑन हिस्टोरिकल फैक्ट्स है, वो ये कि जम्मू कश्मीर मुतनाज़ा खित्ता है और हिंदुस्तान की हुकूमत ने, लीडरशिप ने जो जम्मू कश्मीर के अवाम के साथ वादे किए थे वो वादे उन्होंने पूरे नहीं किए.
कोशिश ये करनी चाहिए कि वहाँ की जनता हमारे साथ आए. अगर उसके बाद भी हमारे साथ नहीं है, अगर वो जनता वहाँ की ये चाहती है कि भाई हम अलग होना चाहते हैं, तो मेरी राय ये है कि वहाँ पर प्लेबिसाइट कराकर अगर वो अलग होना चाहते हैं तो उनको अलग होने देना चाहिए.
Problem in Kashmir, the militant armed struggle for independence. I mean, there was always a struggle for independence. It's not independence. It's not ever been really a part of India, which is why it's ridiculous for the Indian government to keep saying it's an integral part of India.
Make it very clear that Kashmir, when the instrument of accession was signed, there were no conditions, because the instrument of accession was unconditional for all Rajas. There were 600 Rajas. Each could have been an independent country, but they chose to merge with either Pakistan or with India. 150 went there, 450 came here. So Kashmir is a part of that, and therefore we should now tell everybody, no question of any plebiscite. That is Jawaharlal Nehru's personal assurance. If you want plebiscite, go and ask him. But we as Indians, patriotic Indians, because it is not a cabinet decision to offer plebiscite, we don't agree, and the whole of Kashmir, including that part which is in Pakistan, must be brought back to India.
Gender discrimination, which is going on under the issue of permanent resident status or permanent resident certificate, PRC. That is where, for example, I'll give a very short example, and that an irony, that example comes from the family of Abdullahs. Mr. Farooq Abdullah married a Scottish woman. So a son of a Scottish woman could rise to become the Chief Minister of the state. Having two children, Mr. Farooq Abdullah, both children married outside the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, son's children, even if he married outside the state of Jammu and Kashmir, children produced by that marriage, where a woman has come from the outside, can rise to become the Chief Minister and can study in those schools and colleges. Whereas the daughter, who also married outside the state, does not enjoy the same status. The children of the daughter can never become the chief ministers, can never even become MLAs, and will not be in a position to study or buy an apple orchard or have a house or even get a right to division of property which may belong to Farooq Abdullah. So this is the kind of discrepancy which this law brings in, and it is here that I challenge the authenticity and constitutionality of this law.
कश्मीर के जो सेपरेटिस्ट जो लीडर हैं, उन्होंने आज तक ऐसा कोई प्लेटफॉर्म तैयार नहीं किया कि जिससे जो है वो तीनों रीजन के लोग आकर इस मूवमेंट पे बात कर सकें। न उन्होंने जम्मू से एड्रेस करने की कोशिश की, न उन्होंने लद्दाख से एड्रेस करने की कोशिश की। वो सिर्फ अपने भाषणों में, अपने स्टेटमेंट्स में ये लिखते रहे कि भाई जम्मू कश्मीर एक साथ है, लेकिन प्रैक्टिकली वो कभी एक साथ रहा नहीं है। आप चाहें तो अभी लद्दाख जाकर किसी से भी इंटरव्यू लीजिए कि भाई आपका कश्मीरी मूवमेंट से क्या रिश्ता है, तो वो आपको सीधे से ये बोलेंगे हमें कोई लेना देना नहीं है। वो आर्टिकल 370 वहाँ पर है, उससे हमारे जम्मू कश्मीर के लिए फ़ायदा है, क्योंकि बाहर से वहाँ पर लोग आके ज़मीन लेंगे, फिर धीरे धीरे इंडस्ट्री लेंगे, फिर धीरे धीरे वहाँ का माहौल ख़राब होगा। हम नहीं चाहते हैं कि हमारा एक कल्चरल यूनिटी एक हद तक है, उसको हम एक हद तक उसको हम साथ हैं उस आर्टिकल के।
आर्टिकल 370 की वजह से हमारे और कश्मीरी भाइयों के बीच में अलग अलग प्रकार की गलतफहमियाँ पैदा होती हैं। कभी हम उनके बारे में कुछ गलत सोचते हैं और कभी वो हमारे बारे में कुछ गलत सोचते हैं। इस वक्त ज़रूरत है कि हम कश्मीरी भाइयों को और बाकी भारत को एक साथ लेकर चलें। जो जर्मनी में हो सकता है वो भारत में भी हो सकता है। ज़रूरत है तो सिर्फ उनका दिल जीतने की, उन्हें भरोसा दिलाने की। हमें कश्मीर को हिंदुस्तान में नहीं लाना है, हमें हिंदुस्तान को कश्मीर में लाना है।
राजनीतिक क्षेत्र में जो आपके साथ कंधे से कंधा लगाकर काम कर रहे हैं, इसी देश में मतभेद होंगे, उनके बारे में ये आपका मूल्यांकन है।
The one Prime Minister who really could integrate the Kashmiri people with him was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He made a speech there. First time the Kashmiris said, we have found a Prime Minister who really thinks for us. Now that is again charismatic, it's personal. Now Manmohan Singh goes to Kashmir and makes a speech in Urdu. No Kashmiri understands Urdu. It's a mistaken belief that they are Muslims so they understand Urdu. What has Muslim got to do with Urdu?
There was one more anti-370 face, who was the most prominent figure of Kashmir, who was alleged to have driven Kashmiri Pandits out of the valley. A famous senior journalist, Mr. Kuldeep Nair, wrote about Mr. Jagmohan those days, that he was responsible for driving out Kashmiri Pandits. He facilitated transport for Kashmiri Pandits and helped them to vacate the valley so that he could prepare a ground for counter-insurgency. Several allegations with unresolved mysteries have made this man angry with the entire system.
I'm a Kashmiri Pandit myself. I was just 9 months old when I was thrown out of Kashmir. My mother had to pull me and keep me in a cloth so that people like Gilani, Sayyid Alisha Gilani, who is sitting here, do not kill me. There were hundreds like kids like me who were killed. There were hundreds of women who were raped in Kashmir. I am not talking as a Kashmiri Pandit today. I am talking as a common Kashmiri. What does he have to say about Kashmiri Pandits, the Ladakhis, the Jammu people, the Gujjars, the Bakarwals who are suffering for all these years. कश्मीरियों की बात कभी नहीं बोलेंगे। वादी कश्मीर से पंडित बरादरी का जाना, उसमें हमारा कोई अमल दखल नहीं है। वो एक साजिश के तहत वहां से निकाले गए, एक साजिश के तहत वहां से निकाले गए। जब वहां जगमोहन साहब वैसे थे गवर्नर काम कर रहे थे, हम लोग जेलों में थे, हम लोग बाहर नहीं थे कि हम पर कोई इल्जाम धरे, बल्कि एक साजिश के तहत उनसे कहा गया कि आप लोग हमेशा सर्दियों में जम्मू जाते हो या दिल्ली जाते हो, तो 2-3 महीनों के लिए आप लोग चले जाओ ताकि हम इस मोमेंट को क्रश कर सकें और उसके बाद आप लोग आ जाओगे। तो ये एक साजिश थी, जिस साजिश के तहत उनको वहां से निकाला गया।
They were killed to frighten the Kashmiri Pandit community that even their prominent members were not safe. Anyone who goes against the campaign of terrorists will be shot dead. So they were frightening the people, and the people had already migrated. In fact, I have quoted in my book a press note of 16th January where the people have met my predecessor General Krishna Rao and told them that 25,000 people have already migrated and nobody is taking care of them, and Farooq Abdullah's government has not been able to find even a single culprit who have killed their Kashmiri Pandits. So I in fact assured them that you kindly stay there, I will make arrangement for you. And this is all type of a campaign was made because they knew that if Mr. Jagmohan is allowed to stay there, he may be able to win back the confidence of the Kashmiri population, as I had done during my first term. So their whole target was Mr. Jagmohan. And for example, Benazir Bhutto herself came in February in POK and fulminated against me. Why did she fulminate against me? She could do so against the Home Minister, against the Prime Minister, against the President of India, against anybody else or the political leaders of Kashmir. No, she chose me because they knew that if this man was allowed to stay, then their game would be over. And I had already proved this on 19 January when they wanted, on the 26th January when they wanted Basudev to take over Kashmir formally. So I did not allow this to happen. And look at this. I was able to get back the power without any Tiananmen Square, without any blue star. But this nation, you know, rewards me like the manner you see.
Unfortunately, Rajiv Gandhi came into the influence of Benazir Bhutto that time, and Jagmohan was withdrawn. Jagmohan was called back unceremoniously. He played with his life. He controlled the situation. Things started working. People started going to the offices. There was a discipline in Kashmir because it was a second term. He was a governor earlier also. So J&K started growing. The first time you saw the work culture in Kashmir. And he was an honest man. So our tributes to him, we always respect him.
Even those who otherwise shout themselves hoarse about protecting the Hindus have not really done anything for the Pandits.
किसको हिफाजत है? देश को हिफाजत की जरूरत है। देश के अंदर रहने वाले जो है हम जैसे लोग हिंदुस्तानी, कश्मीर के जो पंडित है उसकी हिफाजत करो।
Coming to Bala Sahab, I was very close to him. I worked with him on the Kashmir issue because after our exodus, he was the only man who understood our pain. And because he gave me the platform in Maharashtra to move with him in public rallies and talk about my pain, talk about what happened to Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir, expose the politics of Kashmir. He made a request. He told me that I want to do something for Kashmiri Pandits. And I gave him a proposal of education because we believed in education. And he immediately heard our request and he started educational seats for the Kashmiri Pandits, and not only Kashmiri Pandits, even Kashmiri Muslims and the children of security forces. There were 2 seats kept separate for these people in all the educational faculties of this state. So in a year there were 900 students who got education. What I feel is that this man was responsible of not allowing Kashmiri Pandits to get into violence. if we would have not got this opening in education, we would have become terrorists in Kashmir. We would have picked up the guns and not the pen. So it's a great contribution to the country as far as Bala Sahib is concerned. He had a vision. He said, अगर मैं तुम लोगों को यहाँ पढ़ने नहीं दूंगा, तुम लोगों का ख्याल नहीं करूंगा, तुम सब के सब टेररिस्ट बनोगे और तुम गलत काम करना शुरू करोगे. And he gave it to us. For us, for Kashmiri Pandits, I think he's God. He is all in all for us, and we always felt that we have a protector, we have a supporter in us, and a father figure whose hand is on us.
आर्मी, हाँ, आर्मी के बारे में देखा जाए तो आर्मी जैसे श्रीनगर में है वैसी आर्मी हमारे यहाँ है नहीं, क्योंकि आर्मी श्रीनगर में जब मैं 2 साल रहा मैं देखा वहाँ टोटली आर्मी का गुंडा राज है, आर्मी का अपना राज है, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ इस टोटली अपोजिट है. आर्मी ने हमारे लद्दाख में बहुत सारी ऐसी पॉलिसीज लाई हैं और इतना फ्रेंडली उनका रिश्ता है कि वहाँ पर कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं बच पाता है कि आप इनको जो है वो इनके खिलाफ बोल पाएँ. आर्मी ने वहाँ पे बहुत सारे स्कूल्स खोले हैं, आर्मी ने वहाँ पे बहुत सारे ट्रेनिंग सेंटर्स खोले हैं, बहुत सारे कंप्यूटर सेंटर्स खोले हैं, और आर्मी वहाँ पर बहुत सारे गाँव में आकर वॉलीबॉल मैच साथ में खेलते हैं, क्रिकेट मैच वहाँ पे लोगों के साथ वहाँ पर खेलते हैं. तो इस तरह के जो इवेंट्स है आर्मी ने वहाँ बहुत किया है. सोलर्स जहाँ गांव में लाइट नहीं है वहाँ पे आर्मी ने सोलर की दिया है. तो इन तमाम सारी चीज़ों के बावजूद, देखने के बावजूद कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं बच पा रहा है कि हम उनके खिलाफ बोल पाएँ.
कश्मीर आर्मी shall remain till all the people there subscribe to the Indian Constitution. Otherwise we'll use the army. We'll pay any price, go to any length to keep the integrity of India.
All violence and terrorism is totally outlawed. Extremist positions on both sides will have to be abandoned. India claims the whole of Kashmir, including that portion which is occupied by Pakistan. What has happened to that POK? Today you go and see in POK what is happening. POK is today full of Chinese. And I have been telling my Pakistani friends that you think that Pakistan and China together will destroy India. Ultimately, China will first destroy Pakistan and then destroy India.
There are a huge number of Pandit organizations, but who are barely on talking terms with each other. And you could see that they weren't taking a single line. They tell you the same experiences of suffering, right? But they're not quite agreed on what's to be done.
As far as unity is concerned, let's understand for the last 10 years, I'm just giving you one simple example to convey the unified resolve of the community, and that has been, for God's sake, pass Temples and Shrines Bill. Now this bill is pending now for the last 5 years in the legislature. Every political party privately will tell us, yes, we are ready to pass it, but at the end of the day, they become a big, what you call, impediment in implementing, in passing this particular bill. Now where is the question of unity? Now this was one particular example whereby they could have proved that yes, we mean business. Now when you talk about unity in every other field, whether it be relief to our people, whether it be employment to our people, whether it be the migrants' properties is concerned, we have always been united. But now, unfortunately, they use this word because they just don't want to do anything for this beleaguered community. As far as return is concerned, I think I want to make it very clear that Kashmir belongs to us as much as to any other community. So as far as return is concerned, it is clear that we are all ready and willing to do so. But it has to be on my terms. After 23 years in exile, you don't expect me to go when I have not a land there, when I have no house there, when I have no orchards there, when I have no businesses there. Where do I go? Has government had whatever small they should have been able to do, they should have been creating a blueprint for our return. Have they done it? They have never done it. So as far as return is concerned, we are committed to a resolution which we passed on 4th of March 2012. And that resolution has 3 components which are very, very important. One is Whenever we will return, we will need a concentrated settlement in terms of a township. That's very important. Without that, we cannot at all take it. The second point in that is, unless this community is politically empowered, I think we will be again refouled from the valley every 10 years, every 20 years, and is not acceptable to us. And when the whole country is saying that we should be given minority status, I want to know why the state government is refusing to do it. And for God's sake, at least do one thing to start with. Find out as to why we were in the first place thrown out. Let there be a white paper on this.
They are son of the soil. They are son of soil. उनको हक है, वही हक जो मुझे है, वही उन सब. Who knows? ये क्या लानत है यार? ये लानत है, ये कोड़ है, ये कैंसर है, ये बीमारी है. ये जो फिरका परस्ती है, ये मुल्कों को खा जाती है, ये तरक्की को खा जाती है, अक्ल को खा जाती है, शऊर को खा जाती है, ये खुशहाली को खा जाती है, रिश्तों को खा जाती है. इसमें क्या है यार? एक इंसान, तू भी इंसान, मैं भी इंसान.
कश्मीरी पंडित हिस्ट्री देखा जाए तो कश्मीरी पंडित सदियों से वहाँ रहे हैं. उनके मंदिर मस्जिद, उनका सर घर वहीं है. कश्मीरी पंडित आज भी जहाँ पर भी हों, देश में हों, दुनिया में हों, बाहर हों, आज भी वो अपना कश्मीरी कल्चर नहीं छोड़े हैं, आज भी वो अपना लैंग्वेज नहीं छोड़े हैं. मैंने बहुत सारी जगह पर देखा है, दिल्ली में भी देखा है, कश्मीरी पंडित जो है अपनी लैंग्वेज में ही बात करते हैं, चाहे वो कश्मीरी ही क्यों ना हो.
But my son, he is brought up in Jammu. He does not have any idea what Kashmir is. He says Kheer Bhavani Jammu में भी है, तो फिर कश्मीर ही क्यों जाना है खीर भवानी के लिए? तो it is very hard for me to. So in a way he is getting disconnected with Kashmir. I don't want it, because if he gets disconnected, he will remain a Pandit, no more a Kashmiri Pandit.
Kashmiri Pandits have to go back to their homeland. They cannot go back just now because they are defenseless people. So in the interim, maybe for 5 years, we should select about 10 lakh ex-servicemen of the 1 crore ex-servicemen population in India, arm them, give them money and ask them to go and settle down in Kashmir and reoccupy the houses which the Kashmiri Pandit left and came away. After 5 years, these Kashmiri Pandits can go back and they'll get back their own houses and they can live there. Because they need an army of people who will support them, and that the ex-servicemen can do.
हमने चार्ल्स डार्विन की उस थ्योरी को, सर्वाइवल ऑफ द फिटेस्ट की थ्योरी को भी गलत कर दिया है कि हम लोगों ने भी डिफिकल्ट टाइम्स में, जहां हमें सर्वाइवल के चांसेस बहुत कम थे, वहां सर्वाइव करके दिखाया.
The generation after us, they don't have to struggle as much as we did. So they are free to return to the issue of Kashmir, and some of them, I speak to them regularly and they know exactly what has happened in Kashmir, and they are very keen to regain a foothold in Kashmir, and God willing, there will be a time when we'll return back. And if you read my book, you can make out that the book ends on a note of optimism, and we are very clear on that. Maybe today it's not possible, yes, like the Jews say, next year in Jerusalem, yeah. So that's what we say, next year in Srinagar, God willing.
The word secularism was enshrined with the idea of unifying different religions so that they can stay with peace and harmony. And it shall also be applicable on Jammu and Kashmir, since it is a part of India. Kashmiri Pandits are like chinars. Without them, it is hard to imagine Chashme-Shahi Garden. Kashmiri Pandits are like the taste of saffron. Without them, Kawa will not be the same. Kashmiri Pandits are like the lotus of the Dal Lake, without whom the beauty of the Jhelum shall fade away. Our country believes in secularism, not militant secularism. Sarva Panth Sambhav means a land where all original inhabitants can stay together. Kashmiri Pandit, with the rest of Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists and Bakarwals, can peacefully coexist. Kashmiriyat shall remain alive. Like this old man who will return to his home someday and take his last breath in the midst of gardens and orchards, which he created all this while in exile around him, in memory of this land, Kashmir.